All right. All right. It is a snowy March the 14th. Just getting started. Our class will begin at 8 o'clock. So if you're watching this and from the beginning, you could probably skip through about 28 minutes. I'm just getting myself organized as I am setting up from a remote office and making sure that I have everything organized on my end. So what you're probably seeing right now is nothing more than my voice. So once again, it is 7:33, and we are technically live, I guess. And I'm going to just reiterate that if you want to forward yourself, let me just put on a group chat. Turn on the group chat side. All right, Mohawk College, we are starting. All right, let me get that. I got enable a chat system. Good. And what else do we need here? Attendees. All right. So we got some people already online. Good morning. All right, I'll put my Q&A active. There we go. Okay. Over to here. Do my all right, and we're going to go to getting ourselves live. Just sit tight, everybody. We're going to be online in about 27 minutes. Like I say, I'm a little early just to kind of get myself organized with regards to ensuring everything's working as we're all working remotely. Just sit tight, and if you have any questions, feel free to ask, okay? I'll be back shortly. Testing 1, 2. Testing. Okay, we're getting ready to start in about 6 minutes. I see a bunch of us are online, so that's great. Like I say, just getting ourselves ready for a winter webinar, I'll call it. Okay, we're getting ready. I've got YouTube Live as well. If anyone is missing or gets disconnected, if you know any of your colleagues out there that are looking to try to connect, that's how they can do so. Let me just make sure I've got everything on here, and then we can begin. Okay, so we'll start in about 6 minutes. Okay, we're getting ready to go, guys, in about 2 minutes. Sorry for the late notice and how we've had to alter our presentation to be a webinar, but as you saw, Mohawk is officially closed down, I guess, physically, so it doesn't mean we can't stop having this presentation in the form of which can be done online. So thank you for joining us. We're going to take just a few minutes. I see some people are online right now, and we'll get ready to start. Let me begin with the fact of we've got only a few more assignments left. We've got more or less the resume and then the interview process, followed with the main presentation. Just to kind of recap a little bit in regards to what we've been learning, the whole part of sales is about selling yourself, and we've talked about that from day one. I've discussed in many ways how to prepare yourself, get yourself ready, how to be able to get yourself in a position that you can actually close the deal. And we've discussed certain tips, some ideas, some concepts, how to best present that. So what I'm going to do is today we're going to begin and we're going to get started with an overview of exactly summarizing our sales presentation and how you're going to be able. Can you guys not hear me? I see Jeff. You can't. You have a link for YouTube. Nothing is playing here, Jeff. Yeah, just a minute. Let me just get you a YouTube link. If you actually, oh well, thank you, Hunter. That's great. If you can actually hear me, that's great. If anyone's on the chat right now, you can also go to YouTube Live. Thank you. If that's much easier. Thank you, Shana. I think there's too many people online, maybe listening, not too sure. So, but regardless, if you can't get it through the webinar, you can also go to the YouTube Live. So, okay, so here's the deal. I'm sure you're all in your jammies and we're continuing on. Going back to the point, this is really about you guys learning how to create creating an ability for you guys to teach. Oh, I've been teaching you how to be able to close the deal. And the final assignment is really about writing that proposal and making that final pitch. So what I was going to suggest today is we're going to talk a little bit about how to win an argument. We're going to go over a little bit further of how you want to present and sell yourself. We've talked about all the tips and tricks about that. And now we're going to talk a little bit about setting your goals, how you're going to be able to achieve setting those goals. We talked about your mission and vision statement, and that's sort of an identifying as to who you are and where you want to be. And then the other side we're going to finally go into is presenting yourself for that close. And that is, of course, the resume and the interview. Okay. So with that, I'm going to get over to my presentation here. Make sure this works. Nice. Ooh, and it's got fancy slides and everything else. Okay, so basically the first thing is, how do you win an argument? The real question on the table is, specifically, when you're in an argument with anybody, doesn't matter whether you're in a relationship or whether you're in a sales position, how do you win an argument? And the quick answer simply is, you don't. Nobody has ever actually won an argument. Nobody walks out of an argument and actually feels good about how it goes. An argument will always take you between one position to another. In fact, I have yet to see an argument where one person walks away going, well, geez, I feel great that I got the crap kicked out of me, or I just got yelled at and I feel great because they just yelled at me. So there is no solution to an argument. There has yet to be anyone out there in the world that I know of anyways that could walk away from an argument and say, yeah, I just got yelled at and I feel awesome for it. So, the real key thing is, by not being able to win an argument, are we still having issues with the webinar situation? What is it that's not working here? So go to YouTube Live, guys, if you're having challenges. I'm just going to go back in here and say that again. If you're looking for me, just go Adam Oldfield Live and you'll be able to find it. So again, going back to the fact of an argument you can't win. And I've had this many situations. You sit with a client and they're absolutely freaking out on you, telling you all their frustrations, all their concerns, And you know what? What's your next response is yelling back at them. And what's that going to get you? Is that going to get you anything particular? No. All it's going to do is just get you that confrontation where two people are basically butting heads with each other. And this is where it becomes a challenge, because you will be in many arguments. You probably have had many arguments in your past. And I'm sure many of you have not had a situation where you're going to be able to say, geez, I feel good, as I said before. Well, this is going to happen in a sales position as well. When you're actually in there trying to close a deal, talk to the representative or the sales rep or the client, or maybe you're a sales manager speaking to a sales rep, this is going to be something you're going to have to deal with. So to win this argument, you've got to be able to, I would say, challenge yourself to understand the needs of the person. And really, we've talked about that before. What is the secret of winning an argument? You've got to be able to listen, ask questions. The key to every challenge, I'm going to say that to you throughout this entire balance of this course, asking questions. When you've got questions, you can be able to get answers to how you can best approach a situation. So if you're going to be making a pitch or discussing with someone about, their challenges. I mean, there's two sides. In an argument case, you're going to want to ask questions. Well, why are you mad at me? Why are you frustrated right now? You didn't deliver on time. You were supposed to give me these ads on the air by 5 o'clock, and it's now 7 and I haven't seen a goddamn thing. Okay, great. Well, how do you challenge that answer? You come up with what is it that's upsetting them, and then you find the solution to how you can solve the problem. So again, it's not necessarily winning an argument, it's being able to understand the challenges of the argument and then being able to find that solution that can best calm everyone down to be able to find how you can best resolve that. So, many cases of an argument is the person that's upset has reason of why it wasn't done correctly. And if you're in a relationship, you probably miscommunicated or they misunderstood. You forgot to tell them where you were going to be. You didn't show up. If you're at a client situation and you're telling them exactly what they were going to get and you didn't achieve it. And that's obviously where they're going to get angry and frustrated with you in the process. So I say this with you. Angus, just for your information, if you're actually reading this, is the fact that it actually feeds to YouTube Live. So, you may want to go to YouTube, everybody, just to kind of watch. You might be able to watch it a little better if you want to go in there. I'm not sure what it is you're having challenges seeing right now in the webinar, specifically with this broadcast. I see there's a few people with some challenges. Hang on a sec. Let me just see if I can get you a copy of it. I think I saw a link up above. Hunter, thank you. If anyone else needs that link, go ahead. Again, see, we're in an argument already. You're already calling to the Lord above with regards to your frustrations, and we're already having an argument. It's one way, of course. I'm right, you're wrong, and we have to find the solution, right? So you can't see anything? You can't see the presentation at all? Okay. All right, well, that's a different story. That's interesting. Well, then I would highly recommend that you can probably go to YouTube and then be able to see it from there. If you can hear me okay, then maybe go to YouTube and you'll be able to watch the presentation. I'm not exactly sure why the broadcast isn't necessarily showing in real time. Going back to the point of where I want to take this argument situation overall from a sales perspective, you are able to then take the answers from the questions and be able to find a solution. So this is very important. As I keep reiterating the question point, you want to be able to understand specifically how you want to be able to reference the solution to anyone's problem. And again, I'm going to keep coming back to that argument point. Let me go over to my slide here, which obviously is not working for anyone else other than YouTube. Okay, so first of all, you want to be able to, how to win this argument is you have to distrust your first instinctive impression. Your first instinctive impression is you're going to want to freak out on someone. You're going to want to, react instantly when you are irritated or frustrated with any individual. So with that, you know what? You also need to control your temper. Me, I have a very challenge in regards to my temper. And this is, by the way, no perfect recipe. It is what we should follow, not necessarily what I do. You need to listen first. That is the key. Always look for areas of agreement. Find areas that you can actually come to terms on. You know, because when you can find an area you can agree on something, you can actually somehow find a solution between you and the individual on the that you were speaking with, right? Following that, just as a highlight, anybody that's online right now that you were watching, you probably want to go to YouTube Live. Hunter put a link in here. Thank you, Hunter. I appreciate that. So those I see that are just joining us, you may be able to hear me, but you may not be able to see anything. It appears my presentation is not working well. So here we go. I'm going to put it here. There we go. If anyone else needs that YouTube link, there you go. Again, look for areas of agreement. You want to be able to find areas that you can be able to connect together better. You want to be able to find resolution with regards to how you guys can come to terms. So if you can both agree, with the terms of which the argument are had, well, thank you, Jeff. I appreciate that. You know what? I guess I'm just going to be using this for my presentation for obviously feeding through to YouTube. If you guys want to hop on the YouTube, you can make the chats. I'm looking at both live chat on YouTube and on the webinar. So either way, if you want to, you know, have both open in the case you want to ask a question or comment, you're welcome to do so. Again, see, look, areas of agreement. We found a solution to the problem. Go to YouTube. You can watch it and hear it versus not hearing anything on this webinar that I'm sharing with everybody. Next is be honest with your argument issues. So, you know, be sincere in the process of exactly what your challenges are and promise to think over your opponent's idea. You know, when you're in an argument with someone and you're battling on what is right and what's not, you want to be able to say to them, listen, I hear what you're saying, but let me also share where I'm coming from. Obviously, 2 points of an argument the reason you're arguing is because you don't agree. So what you have to do is find a way to understand what it is that they say and where it is you're coming from, and then how to be able to best approach it. And I say this all the time. When I had a client yelling at me with regards to bringing them the wrong information, I remember distinctly saying to the client, you know, thank you for your thoughts and concerns. Would you be gracious enough to leave it with me and I can be able to address this problem? In my sales days, I was selling a radio client. I remember talking to this client of mine that was in the car sales, and he said to me distinctively, I will buy this campaign if this rate is the lowest I can buy anywhere. I want this to be equal. I don't want it to be cheaper than the other guy. I just want a fair price at the best cost. And I literally knew at the time, this is the best price at the best cost. I pieced it together, shared it with them, and came back to the sales manager, and I was all excited. When I drove back, I got back to the office. All of a sudden, I get this angry phone message. When I answered it, it was the client that I just spoke with from the car dealership, and he freaked out on me, like literally tore into me like no tomorrow. And he basically said, "You lied to me, you son of a bitch, you low life garbage," screaming at the top of his lungs. I'm sorry, what are you referring to? You told me I got the best price at the best value. And what happened was, when it was all said and done, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Well, he owned another car dealership. He called one of his buddies who owned the car dealership to share that he got a really good price. He was super excited. And when he spoke to his brother, who owned the other car dealership, another sales rep gave him a cheaper price. Well, I went to the sales manager. I said, what the heck? What's going on? You just literally threw mud in my face. How do I solve this? Well, we'll give you the same deal we gave them. The problem is, I made a promise to the client. I literally sat across from them, told them the truth, and I had to go back and try to solve the issue. The issue wasn't necessarily that I was, I guess I didn't lie to them, but the argument was he felt cheated by me. Anyway, I got back on his side, and my point was, I said, listen, I listened to his challenges. I understood them. I asked him the questions. How could I solve this issue, which wasn't easy. I thanked them, okay, for the time that he was giving me, and that's exactly how I addressed the challenge. And then what I said was, give me the time to solve this issue. I need to understand the problems with regards to what we're up against here. So Again, let me just make a note here. I see people are still jumping on the line here. Watch YouTube to see and hear this. There we go. Okay, so next, so this is basically the tips of how to win an argument. I give these guys, this is more of a tip of education for all of you. Please, keep this in mind when you're going through your life and you're in the middle of an argument. These are the principles I follow in any kind of argument I try to go through. I try to distrust my first instinctive impression. You get the wrong thought or the wrong image right away. You start making assumptions in your head based on you not being completely satisfied. Control your temper. That's obviously key. Listen first. Listen and put yourself objectively. Look for areas that you can agree in your argument. You were late for dinner. Yes, you're right. I was late for dinner. Now, may I please share with you why? And I can understand you're angry, and I can appreciate where you're coming from. And you've got dinner made, and I'm late, and you've done a lot of work to get it ready for us. But I want you to know that I appreciate everything you're doing. And you know what? You make the hell of a good meal, and I feel terrible the fact that I'm not going to be able to eat this in the best form of which you've made it. I want to thank you for that profusely. And then if you don't have a solution, say, could you give me the time to come back to you and let me find a solution for you? So bottom line is, winning an argument can't be done, but you can objectively manage it if you're able to do it in a way that works for everybody, meaning that you can be able to find a solution overall, right? So, all right, let me go to the... So like I say, the only way to win an argument is to avoid it. Finding a solution to how you can avoid it is obviously using those tips and tricks I just shared with everybody. Again, the advantages of being able to handle an argument is that when you walk out of it and you follow those principles I just guided you through, then one of the things I can share with you is the fact that it's probably going to be to your advantage, and you can walk away winning on both sides. So when you're actually in this pitch and you're doing this discussion with a client and you get confrontation, and by the way, you will get confrontation. The final presentation you're going to be speaking with the client that I'm going to be setting up, he will probably challenge you, and it will sound confrontational. He will put a lot of frustration back to you. So what I say to you is listen carefully, ask questions, keep calm, and make sure you find points of interest that you can agree on. And if you don't have the answer, or you're not sure what to answer or give as an answer, you're going to want to be able to change that discussion to say, could you give me an opportunity to get you those answers, and I'll get back to you soon, okay? Versus trying to come up with an answer. If you try to come up with an answer or try to find an answer to a problem of which you're not really understanding or how to solve, you're just making it really bad for yourself, and you're going to lose all opportunities with regards to being able to communicate on a bigger scale with your clients. And I can't even begin to tell you how many times I must deal with this every single day. In my business that I run, the agency, I deal with arguments every day. It is almost one of those arts of which they can never teach you. They don't really talk about it. We all talk about happy. Here's what it is. Here's what I signed. Here's what I paid. There's really no class to really teach you about arguments. No one's really sitting down and discussing what they have is conflict resolution. But that's the pretty way of saying, I'm angry at you. They don't really address the challenge of, truthfully, you got a pissed off individual at you. How do you best resolve that issue? So these are the tips, and get ready for it, because you're going to be dealing with it pretty much for the rest of your life. So this is more of a life skill than it is anything else to help you with that process, okay? Let's go over selling yourself. So you know what? First and foremost, you need a resume. And you've seen this in other classes. This isn't your first rodeo when it comes to putting together a resume letter or being able to put a presentation together. I share this with you because, you know what? In a cover letter, you're going to want no more than 2 to 3 pages, okay? 3 pages, you're really pushing it. You know, time is money. You want to be able to best present yourself in the most effective way. And you know what? As much as a resume is the most standard, traditional way with a letter, I also want to encourage you guys, if you really want a job, asking questions to the right individual that you want to be able to get the job from, or the client you want to win, you know, you want to be able to go a little above and beyond. And let me give you an example of this. When I was in radio and I was running the promotions department, I remember there being very interesting ways of how people try to approach getting a job interview. So one guy, he obviously, you know, did the wrong interview questions, and he got the wrong information, and he thought I had a dog. So when he gave me his resume and cover letter, he actually sent it with a bag of dog food, not even a small bag. You know what? It's basically a bag of like Purina dog chow, 20 kilograms, and he sends this to me. And I'm thinking to myself, what am I doing with a bag of dog food? I wasn't exactly sure how or what this was or why I was getting this. Anyway, the bottom line was it intrigued me. It caught my attention. I actually called him in for the interview. He didn't get the job, but at the end of it, I asked him, I'm like, what was with the bag of dog food? Why'd you give me a bag of Purina dog food, 20 kilograms? And his answer was, well, I asked around and I was told you had a dog. Well, no, what he heard was I had a pet. I actually had a cat. So I was like, wow, you know what? I get the whole idea of trying to, you know, woo, but hey, listen, he accomplished his goal. The goal was get an interview. And he did that. So when I was applying for a promotions position and I was excited about working for the Fan 590, I was approached as one of the candidates to be able to be their next marketing director. And basically when I went in there, I went in, did the presentation. I did my whole overview, and at the end of it, I thought I would close it off, and I sent them a shoebox full of a baseball, a football, one of those mini footballs, a tennis ball, and inside this box with all these balls, I put a letter with it, a thank you letter, and it just said, I just wanted to thank you for the opportunity to meet, and I also wanted to ensure that you guys had the balls to hire me. So, you know what? I mean, I got the call. They said the reason I didn't get the job was because I wasn't necessarily a sports nut, but they love my energy. They love my ideas. They love my creativity. And it was a great experience for me. So it doesn't just necessarily take, a resume with a letter to get the job. You may want to go a little above and beyond when you're actually trying to get that opportunity. So a lot of questions here, or a lot of comments, 1 page max. Well, keep in mind, guys, that 2 pages, one's the cover letter and one's the resume. The third letter is going to basically give any other extra information, because you may have a history of some points about yourself. Maybe at your age or your career level, you may not have necessarily the job history, but you also want on that third page would be your references. So you may want to be able to include references in there to make sense. So just for clarity's sake, I'm not talking about 3 pages of, like, here's where I worked when I was 8 years old. I'm talking about a cover letter's 1 page, second page is resume, third page would be potentially references, okay? So don't go taking that as the wrong 3 pages at most is what you actually should have, inclusive of the cover letter. Okay, good. So basically the creativity is where I'm trying to make the point. You want to be able to impress whoever it is. And by the way, that's for the client as well. So keep in mind when you're speaking to the client, you want to be able to also try to make a bit of an impact. We talked about cold calling, and we used the example of where you had those 5 points where you just pick up the phone and you start making these calls. Hi, I'd like to sell you some radio ads, or I'd like to call and sell you some HVAC, or whatever the deal is. It doesn't matter. The point is, guys, you really want to separate yourself, because that's what everybody else is doing. They're doing the telemarketing. They're all going to do the general. Like I say, here's your 3-page resumes. Here's your cover letter. Okay, great. We know what everyone else is being taught in grade school, in high school, and even college. Now what this class is about is selling yourself, and what you want to do is up your game. Time to be able to do things a little differently. So if you're going to go for that, I don't know, battle rap radio station, if Jeff's on the line and he's listening right now, the other guys. So basically, if you guys are going for a battle rap station and you guys are going to approach that, a cover letter, if you wanted to be the next producer or on-air broadcaster with a letter and a reference sheet, probably is mandatory, but how are you going to be able to get it really in there? You know what would be cool? You get a photocopy of something like Eminem. What I would do is I would get like some battle rap guy that everyone would associate. And what you do is you get it basically signed or otherwise, and you put it in with a cover letter and you send it in. Christian, thank you, Jeff. I apologize. Christian escaped me. So again, good impact, Jeff. So what you do is you basically get a cover letter and you have it as Eminem, and a letter that would basically falsify with the fact of, hey, this is Eminem. I really love these guys. If I was to hear them on the radio, I would love to battle rap against someone else. You know, again, it's sort of a tongue in cheek, and you do it in a way that basically when someone reads it, they would go, oh man, what is that all about? So anyway, this is just my point in regards to how you want to be able to separate yourself from, you know, other people, and how you want to be able to approach or be able to cut through the clutter and be able to get in there. So, bottom line, so what you want to do is be able to, again, differentiate yourself. You're not going to be any different. And once you're inside the interview, or once you get inside the business opportunity or the client, this is the time to be able to sell yourself specifically. So again, I use the example of cover letter, resume, and then use a little creativity. Get through that door, be able to make a change, be able to communicate with your customers or with that employer in a way that's going to be able to be beneficial to you, okay? But again, you don't know how to best approach things until you understand clearly some questions. Now, again, let's come back to the point and say, how would you best approach this from, if you don't know? Well, do your best. Like I use the example of, you know, if you had to get a cover letter of, you know, Eminem or otherwise, if you wanted to go in for a job, you know, at a you know, this is going back when I was they had construction or manufacturing in Canada when I was a teenager, and I was going to Mohawk. I ended up going in and putting together this boxing company. It was called, geez, I can't remember the name of it now. But anyways, a manufacturing company in Burlington. They made boxes, folding boxes, you know, cereal boxes and stuff like that. So when I went on the interview, I really appreciated. I managed to get the job, but I wanted the job the second year. And they always said at the end of it, we can't always guarantee you a job. So when I went back the second year, I had to reapply. But this time I took one of the boxes, one of the extra boxes, and instead I took the folding boxes that the company made, and I put on it, this box was made and packaged exclusively by Adam Oldfield, and I'm excited to be able to continue providing my services and hard work. And I wrote it on the back of this cardboard box when I wanted the job the second year, and submitted it to the president. Anyway, I got the job right away, and they were going to hire me immediately for the summer. Fortunately, I got a job in radio, so I didn't need it. But the point I'm getting to is that use a little creativity, guys. You want to be able to try and find. You now need to try and find a way to get through and cut through the clutter so people can be able to know you. So let me also give you a little highlight here. Fix your social media. I want you guys to spend a little time. And I really encourage you, by the way, we as employers, we really should not be under the Privacy Act. We should not really be going through your social media. However, let me give you a little tip. Everybody does. And because the fact that you're making publicly broadcasted, we're going to probably take the time to go through it. So you're going to want to be able to make sure your social media chain is clean, okay? You don't want to leave anything trailing there. You don't want to upset point or use things that maybe could disclaim you in any way. I was looking to run for politics on the conservative side for the provincials. And in my process of interviewing with them, one of the things that they went through was my social media. And, you know, it's interesting. You know, your social media is exactly that. It's a media. And I think we can all, you probably heard this from other classes. I'm not your first person to refer this, but it can really impact your job opportunity. I do a lot of consultation for companies. And let me tell you this, when I go into a business, I get asked all the time from clients specifically to say to me, hey, Adam, you know, can you help me with this? I'm down to 2 decision makers. Which ones do I go with? So, you know, he gives me these 2 candidates. He's interviewed them. They're coming down to the final wire, and he's really on the fence. He doesn't know which one to go with. I go through each of their social medias. I see one gentleman has a picture of him smoking a bong. There's a picture of him hanging out of a limo, and there's two girls hanging off of his shoulders. This dude was a partier, and his comments in all of his blogs were, "I love to get high. Nothing says chill like a good bong," whatever. But more or less, I just called the client. I said, I think the decision's evident. This guy's not going to show up on Monday. So the other guy, I can tell you right now, he's probably not going to approach it properly. He's not going to be, he's not going to be there. I say you go with the other guy. So anyway, bottom line is that your social media will dictate decisions based on your employer, and people do reference it. They reference it regularly, and they will take a look at it, right? So hang on a minute. I just go through some comments here. Granted, come out usually roll mine towards the job I'm applying for. Is there a certain job I'm applying for when I hand this in, or do you want just a general cover letter? I'm going to give you an example of that, Greg, in a minute, of what my expectations are of the cover letter. The assignment's going to be very specific to a specific job. Okay, so just give me a few minutes and I'll go through that. So let me go through an example here of, this is an example of a bad profile. Your Google profile, you may not even realize it. You have a fun picture, you're hanging out with your friends. This is the image I got with a resume asking for a job as a sales rep. And the only thing I can tell you specifically is, I was not impressed. So, I'm not sure what this guy's doing to the bottle. I'm not sure what she's trying to tell me in the picture, but in her email, this is what I see. And it's something you may not even realize. You're having some fun. Could be your boyfriend, maybe a buddy. Who cares? Bottom line is, this is what I see when someone wants to apply for a job, asking for a career. So, what I mentioned above is not going to deny me any opportunity. What? Video game music? No. VGM lover? I don't think so. I'm not sure what you're referring to. If you're referring to your icon, or you're talking about your reference of your name, video game lover, when you're submitting a opportunity, is that the question? So I'm not exactly sure. In fact, I don't even know who VGM lover is. Are you even in my class? So are you just a random YouTube watcher? I have no idea what your call name is. So anyway, I'll leave it with that. Okay, so example back, Google Plus. This is an example. Oh yeah, my social media. Yes. No, I don't think it would. It doesn't seem obtrusive, or it would probably. The only thing I could. Oh, thank you, Angus. Appreciate that. Or Shayna, appreciate. I don't think it would hurt. In fact, if anything, it would basically advise you that if you were to put it on your resume. I mean, you know what? That's a passion of yours. It's a hobby. You obviously like music, and that's not a problem. If you said, have a medicinal marijuana issue, or a passion, or you've got, the weed symbol all over, not necessarily every employer is going to agree to that. They may look at that and unfortunately refer to it as, oh, you know what, this guy's a deadhead, or girl's a deadhead. Nothing wrong with it. I'm not here to judge, but I can tell you many would. And, it's not, like I say, it's not appropriate, but don't leave it to the suspect. Don't let them make assumptions. And we just talked about that at the beginning. That's why I start off this discussion with arguments, is because people make assumptions at the beginning. Your first impression, we always refer to, this is a first impression. So, you know what, when you're talking about video game music, no, I don't think that's an issue, or otherwise, or your other passions are, you like video games. Nothing wrong with that. And it's just something you like to do. And then your example is when they ask you, so what do you like to do in your free time? I like to blow off steam but playing video games. I find it very mind numbing, and it allows me to kind of concentrate and focus on what I really need to do with the job, which is the truth. I mean, that's why you play video games, to escape things, right? So anyway, again, I don't want to dwell too bad on this Google Plus side, but it gives you sort of an example. And I'll give you another one. As I was using an example earlier, I was applying for the Conservatives, as I mentioned, and as they were going through my social media, and honestly, I didn't think this was going to come back and haunt me. But in my review process that they were referring to, you know, I did this thing about 5 years ago. I had a buddy of mine in England, and I thought it was England. You know, my background is Scottish. I'm English, Scottish. And a friend of mine had prostate cancer, and it was a big thing over in the UK, and it was called Cock in a Sock. And, you know, and what happened was it was a big, funny, tongue-in-cheek fundraiser where literally you took a picture of yourself with a sock over your, you know, genitals, and you took a picture and you made a donation for prostate cancer. Well, I did this in England, posted it, and because my name was now synonymous, it somehow ended up on Twitter or something like that. And sure enough, it got found. And I had to sit in a room, and they basically asked me, without telling me straight up, you know, that I was, you know, we discovered this. What they said to me was, well, can you explain if there's anything that we may see in your social media that could maybe come out and the leader would be maybe embarrassed by? I said, absolutely not. I only speak about, you know, truth and honesty and issues related to technology and business and my references to politics. And so, you know, the comment came up with, well, there was something, we did see you inappropriately positioning yourself, you know, naked with a sock hanging off yourself. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Yes, okay, you're right. Good assumption. You're thinking I'm nakedly just throwing my photo out there. At the end of the day, I did it for prostate cancer for a friend of mine who had it, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, justification for it. But again, if that wasn't brought up, the assumption could be, what is this streaking weird freak trying to run for a political party? So again, your social media is so important and critical, that you make sure that you don't put yourself in a position where, you know, how can I say this? It's embarrassing. So yes, and it also could impact that job position, right? Now, I'm not sure this is going to play well because I am doing a webinar and it is being broadcasted and we're already on YouTube. But what I will do is I will find the link and I am going to share it with everybody. Her name is Ellie. Ellie actually used to be a radio or an advertising student at Mohawk. And so she gave me this resume, which was more or less a YouTube video. And it was phenomenal. And actually, I ended up hiring Ellie, and she did a great job on this little video presentation. Let me see if I can actually call it up here. Hang on a minute. Again, I'm pretty sure it won't work. Hold on. Let me just do a quick little peek. Can you see that? You know what?
Look at my book, isn't it neat? You probably think that your staff is complete. Wouldn't you kill just to have a writer who also sings? Briefs down the hall, problems unsolved, art actors bashing their heads on the walls, ads without lines incomplete. Maybe it's destiny. I've got thoughts and ideas aplenty. I've got long copywriting galore. You want headlines? Well, here's 20. Not enough, no big deal. I'll write more. I want to be where your writers are. I want to see them working, walking around in there. What do they wear? Oh, jeans. Flipping through books, you won't get too far. Personalities required for thinking, speaking, schmoozing with clients while eating lunch just down the street. Up where they drop, up where they write. Sometimes at work till real late at night. Happy and free, wish I could be part of that world. What would I give if I could move out of the hammer? What would I say to prove that I'm one of the best? A book's not enough, it can be tough. But you must look inside the person, never quitting, often sitting. It's hard to stand. I'm ready to know what I need to know. Ask me my questions and get some answers. I may be done college, but I can still constantly learn. When's it my turn? Please let it be. Left to be part of my industry. Your agency. Just hire me. I'm a smart girl.
All right, so there you go. That's Ellie, and that gives you a quick overview of her. Anyway, I got this video presentation from her, and I did hire her. Gives you a quick overview specifically of how you can be able to cut through the clutter. What's happening? Oh. Okay, we're done with her. She didn't make the cut. So that gives you a quick summary again. She was phenomenal, and you know what? She's great. She's funny. And I hired her. She was my copywriter for a while, and then she ended up basically going back into. I think she's going into becoming a nurse, but she was great, and we're still good friends. And truthfully, actually, she just won the Canadian karaoke contest out in Calgary. She's really an amazing singer. So bottom line, as I'm getting to my point here, guys, you've got a great talent, and she cut through the clutter. She put a fantastic, I got the cover of her resume, and I was like, what is this? And then in it was this video in the email I received. And as I showed you the example of the one I got before, in this one, you're going to see the example specifically of how she was able to get through the interview, get hired, and be able to, and she's going to be very successful where she goes. But what are you going to do? And really the question is, how do you make that a little unique and a little different? That's what I challenge all of you when you're taking a look at trying to get that next job interview. And again, nothing wrong with the cover letter and the resume, but when you're doing your pitch and your presentation, you're going to want to be able to do this in a form of which is going to separate you from everyone else that is on the field, right? So again, this is something of which I wanted to give you guys an example of, give you a quick highlight of, okay? So here's an example of which I would say is it's a decent cover letter. I wouldn't say it's perfect, but it gives you a quick overview of the basic foundations of what you want to use when you're applying for a job. So number one, I'll go through it real quick. I would like you to consider me for the position of sales executive as advertised in the Hamilton Spectator. I was particularly excited. Okay, so let me just identify this letter as I'm breaking it down, okay? So at the beginning, we're talking about why you're writing this letter, where you saw it. Your reason why you're doing this is that you're excited for the open position within Chorus radio station Y108, FM 183. As long as I've been a fan of the radio station, I'm impressed by the way the radio station continues to be a leader in the area. So you're complimenting and speaking about the benefits of what the product is. I would love this opportunity to be part of your sales team and helping businesses get the value of these 3 radio stations by advertising. Reading over the job description for the position, I recognize myself. So now you're finding similarities. You're finding that association with where you can connect. Hey, you need this. I happen to have this. I think we could talk. As you can see on my attached resume, I have more than 3 years experience from selling shoes to cars. In addition to having a passion for business, I have personally met my sales goals as set by my manager every month. Again, I've seen this, and this is debatable when you discuss what your accomplishments are and goals are. A lot of this can be misconstrued in some of the resumes for sales positions. What they like to see are percentages of value, not necessarily just generalized growth or sales ability. But for the most part, if you haven't done really a numbers where you have percentages to offset it, this is a good overview to best present. Additionally, I'm a fast, versatile individual, and I specialize in taking complicated information and presenting it in an easy to understand, upbeat format. I've never missed a budget. In recent performance review, my manager called me the best sales rep on the planet. In this case, you can reference a positive comment from a past employer. My past manager would say about me, quote, always on time and attentive to detail, unquote. Give it as if someone, you're just speaking about a passion about how good you are in other areas. You pride yourself on being able to juggle different clients. My love for sales actually borders on obsessive compulsive. So you're speaking about your passion and reasons for why you're always selling and best candidate for the role, and why your reasons are your skills and otherwise are great. Now, again, the most important in every cover letter, leave it with a closed expectation. And I've always talked about that. Always be closing. Don't leave anything open-ended, guys. This is one thing that, please, if you're going to take away from my class, never leave anything open-ended. If you walk away from a conversation at any point and you wonder what's the next step, and what I mean by that is if you walk away and you say, geez, am I supposed to call them or are they going to call me? Or I wonder if I'm ever going to hear from them again. Or, you know, if I call them, would they be surprised that I was calling? So leave every situation with an expectation, okay? And why you want that is because then you've got control. And I mentioned that before. You always want control of any kind of situation you're in. So in this case here, I'm leaving it with, if I don't hear from you by Tuesday at 10 a.m., I will call you at 2 p.m. Tuesday afternoon. Leave it with a closure, a positive. I will not disappoint. Look forward to your call. You can reach me. Thank you for your time and consideration. So always be closing, guys. I can't tell you enough. My biggest success, Adam's biggest success, is I always leave it with, what am I going to do next? And again, never be afraid of the no. I would rather have a customer say, I'm not interested. Thank you for your time. I just don't see myself wanting to buy this. Thank you. You've just saved me 8 minutes of my life thinking about, should I call you? Then another 2 minutes of me thinking of how I'm going to approach you. Then the nerve to pick up the phone and call you or email you, and only to be told you don't even give a damn. So you just saved me a lot of money by telling me no. So keep that in mind whenever you're going through any kind of these opportunities. And again, with the interview, don't go in an expectation of an interview thinking I'm wasting all my time. So in your cover letter, please keep that in your premise of how you position yourself in any kind of role, okay? All right. Again, a resume is a resume is a resume. Your name, where you're from. I'm not here to judge how you put your resume together. You guys have done it enough. I'm not going to tell you the right way, the wrong way. If you don't know how to put together a proper resume, then you know what? There's bigger issues. I'm not here to teach you the proper resume. What I am telling you is you want to make sure that it is formatted in a way of which best communicates to the person you're asking for the job or the employment for. So as an example, I've always been asked before, you know, I have no job experience when it comes to anything. How do I do this? This is a lot of people that maybe have never had a job, and, you know, including my daughter who has zero capabilities. This is where you want to address your interests and passions. This one page should really identify specifically points of which you have interest in. So in the case of video games, you might want to say, I have a great passion for understanding scripts, and when it comes to video games, I really love the efforts that it takes. You know, again, depending, I'm not using Video Game Lover as an example, Angus, with respects to your past history, but if you had nothing, that's where you would want to leverage that. And again, where would I as the employer see this as an advantage? Who are you as a person? And really, we're trying to read that very, very quickly when we're trying to identify who it is that we're going to employ or work with, right? Okay. Next is, now that we've got a cover letter, we've got a resume, the next is we're going to set our goals, okay? Goals are, what is it you want to do, okay? And we talked about that before. We did this with the mission and vision statement. This was one of the very first classes. It's not going to be our first rodeo when it comes to this. So now it's all starting to come together. It's all meshing. We're finally coming into putting everything we talked about from the last 9 classes into one final piece here, okay? So first and foremost, set our goals. We want to know, what is it you want to do? And that information of what you want to do has to be portrayed to the client, the customer, the employer. You want to make yourself want that job. Okay, you really want to get behind wanting this opportunity, right? So next, you want to get to know the job and make sure you're meant for it. Nothing worse than getting a job and saying, geez, you know what, I hate this. I never wanted to do this. So there's a couple points here. What did you want to do? Make yourself want the job. And next, get to know the job and know that you were meant to do it. And I say that with all regards to cutting through the clutter, number one. Number two, being able to identify yourself a little unique from everyone else, okay, and how you present yourself. By the way, no one's going to be able to tell you how to present yourself better than yourself. Just FYI. You guys are probably the best to be able to present yourself in that way. So I share this with you from a sake of being able to position yourself appropriately. So now, again, when you want the job, you got to be able to research it. How do you research it? Number one, you go online. Number two, you visit the business. You take a look at things that you would look at and want to improve on, and how you would want to go about in improving that. When I was working in radio, volunteering in the morning, collecting weather traffic back in the old days, how I got myself to want the job and to be able to make myself keen on being able to do the job was that I would go around with a clipboard and take a look and ask questions to other people in the office to say, what is it you don't have time to do that needs to get done? And I made a little list of all the things people keep telling me about. And by the way, people will love to tell you how irritated they are and how overworked they are. Okay, so I got a list, very easy, from a bunch of people in the accounting department, the promotions department, the reception area. And then what I did was I positioned it as a job, and I pitched it directly to Daryl Hartwick, and who you may or may not know is in journalism there. And basically I positioned it to him and said, here's what I could do. Let me clean the stock room. And I think I shared this story before. Eventually, he gave me the opportunity and the ability to be able to do this opportunity. So I got the job. I set my goal. I wanted it. I then found areas I was able to figure out what I could do. There were some things I wasn't able to do. The engineering department, they told me they wanted a bunch of keyboards fixed and, I don't know, a bunch of routers to be rewired and hardwired. And I'm like, okay, well, that's great. I have a passion for it, but I sure as heck don't know how to rip apart these things and start getting the soldering iron out and, connecting all these circuit boards. I wouldn't know the first thing about that. But I was able to do the administrative, and I was able to pick up a box and clean. So I share that with you because that's how you want to be able to approach it. Set your goal. And I do this with every client as well. When I want a client, and I mean I want it, I get it. I go after it. I think how I'm going to approach this client. I tell all the areas I know I can improve, what I can do for this account. And then I literally put myself on the line where I'll sit with the client and say, you be making the biggest mistake by not hiring my agency. And let me tell you why. Because you keep saying to yourself, maybe not in front of everyone, but to yourself, sitting with a drink, geez, I wish I could grow my business, or I wish I could make my business more profiled, or I can do that, and I'm the agency to pick. So when I find a client that I want, I can go after it easily any single time. And by the way, as I shared with you before, I have no problems with my agency getting business because that's exactly the way I think. I go out, and this is the principles I follow when I go and get my deal. I don't do it by guessing, and I don't make assumptions. I question. I ask questions specifically, I research, I put all of this detail together, and then I've got my solution to how I'm going to approach it, and I go close that deal. That's how I've always made my sales. Next is you want to get the job, and that's primarily what we're doing in this class, right? So first we want to find out who is the boss, okay? Who is the person in charge? Who's the decision maker? By the way, ask that question. If you're sitting in an interview, how many times you get called into an interview? Ask them, would you be my boss, or would you be my supervisor? Are you the hiring manager? Are you the person in charge of me every day? Because you may be interviewed by the HR department and not actually working with the person specifically as your boss. You want to be able to talk to people already working there. As I mentioned to you before, I went around the office in the radio station with a clipboard and literally talked to everyone. Hi, I'm Adam. I'd like to find out a little more about your role here. What is it you do? Hey, can I ask you a question? What is it you don't have time to finish every day that you wish you had help on? I took that information, and that's how I conjured up my own list of how I was going to be able to work there. Outline how you're going to make that company money. I can't even stress this. Take this bullet, and if you could, I will probably put it in eLearn, okay? Because I want you guys to know this. Outline how you're going to make that company money and what you're willing to do for the job. Guys, what are you going to do? Remember that cut through the clutter? You get through the interview. Now it's time to close the deal. This is something that I have seen. By the way, Kyle, I gave you that example. You saw his video. This is an example I gave to Kyle, and he's still smoking ass, by the way. He was #1 in Canada at his last sales review as far as top sales rep. And I use this as an example for everybody in this class right now that says, oh, I wasn't meant to be in sales. If you met Kyle, you would probably be absolutely flabbergasted at who this kid was when he sat in my class. He literally had, I'm going to be a little inappropriate here, he had no balls. He was literally a shy little shithead who just constantly put himself down. And basically what I saw out of this kid was that he took this bullet point I'm talking about right now and he literally applied it. So I share this with you as an example of how it succeeded in my life, but it also is a proven recipe for everybody else who's actually been in my class. So you're going to take that bullet if you really are serious about success, and I want you to think about it. Number one, outline how you're going to make that company money. That's a very important, and what you're willing to do for the job. So this is where we get into negotiations, okay? So we're going to pay me minimum wage. I use this as an example. Pay me minimum wage until I get the ropes. However, when you see my value, when you see the value of what I'm able to do for you, and I've proven to you, I'm on time, I'm going to hit every expectation, you're never going to have to think, sweat, or worry about me doing my job every day, you're going to want to give me a $15 an hour because I'm going to be one of the best paid employees. But I appreciate you're taking a risk. I can understand that. And that's a big challenge for anyone in your position to take. And I'm sure the other 35 people that are sitting across from me that will be coming in shortly are going to say the same thing. Here's the difference. I'm willing to take a cut. And I'm willing to take a cut for 1 month. In fact, I'll work for 2 weeks for free. And I call it a volunteer time I need to put in. But in 2 weeks, I show you the ropes because you got to train me. You got to show me specifically what it is I need to do. I will take every ounce of information you share and I will up it by 2 points. And what I mean by that is everything you expect out of this job, I'm going to really shine. I'm going to be that star example of what you wish every person did here. You put that in front of someone, how could they argue the paycheck? How could they argue it? And the other side is you got to make sure you live up to that expectation. So this is another side. You bullshit, you're going to look like shit. So don't go out there and make this claim like I give you. Stand your ground, know who you are, live to your expectations. You deliver, you will make more than your expectations will ever be set. Set your goals and go after them. This is why I say you are not like everyone else. Everybody that you know outside of this college and every other class that has not taken this is why their failures are probably imminent. You have the opportunity to be able to leverage that. So use this opportunity to do so. And by the way, I'm not going to tell you how to do it. I'm going to tell you these are ways of how you can do it. So it's up to you to position how you want to do it. And by the way, what do you got to lose? You know, we talked about this before, the fear of the word no. I hear this all the time. What the hell are we all afraid of? You know what? If we lived in North Korea, I totally get it. You watch a Hollywood movie, you get executed. But we're in Canada. We're in North America. So you know what? Go for the word no. You got nothing to lose except for someone to say, I'm sorry, I'm just not going to give you the give. I'm not going to give you the deal. Okay, fine, good. I appreciate that. That's good. So here's your opportunity now to take this deal of how you want to position it. And you can do it any way you want. This is the benefit. You get to dictate how you want to position your opportunity. And I do the same thing every single day. Hey, you don't like it, no problem. I don't live up to your expectations. I respect that. Tell you what, I'll do you a deal. If I don't achieve what your expectations are in 1 month, heck, don't pay me. I'm all right with that. And you know what? You got to be ready to have the stamina and capability of being able to say that. And if you can, and you believe you can achieve it, you know what? No expectation should not be met. And I'll tell you, anyone with a moral ground will definitely respect it and they'll give you the risk. Now, I'm not going to say that you're not going to get cheated along the way. You could have someone cheat you in that process, meaning they don't pay it. But let me tell you something. You take the high moral ground, and I guarantee you out of every 5 times, one situation will get you a piece of unfortunate circumstance. The rest will be unbelievable success for you. Unbelievable. So I stand by this method. I stand by this principle. It has done wonders for me. It is one of the reasons I am successful for who I am today, and the reason why I managed to dig out of debt and be able to get to where I was from zero to hero, if you want to give it that, is because I followed this third principle. And I can honestly share with you guys. Think about that and put it together how you'd like to structure that for yourself, okay? So the point I'm going with the get the job is negotiate the way you want it to work, and be ready to make yourself more appealing than the other person. Don't just walk in and say, I hope I get 15 bucks an hour. You know what? You're never going to get it. Never going to get it. You're going to have to go in and bring more to the table than that. So in the case of getting a job, I keep repeating this because I really want you guys to think about what it takes to be able to close the deal. These are all points you need to think about, okay? So if there's any questions on that, you're welcome to ask. I am watching the live chat on YouTube. You can be able to give me a quick little question. I am paying attention, so I wanted to give you a quick little high level of this. And again, I'm willing to put in a little effort as far as answering any of your questions otherwise on that point, okay? Our next assignment, it's got a 20% point on it, okay? What I'm looking for is your resume, okay? I'm looking for your resume and your cover letter. I'm going to give you the job description in a minute. I've set up your interviews. I trust everybody would have got an email with the interview dates and time. There are going to be some interviews on a Saturday. The reason there is interviews on Saturday is I got 63 of you that I need to be able to interview with. So I'm going to give you the quick job description in a moment, but I want to identify these are going to be the week of March 18, 21, 23, 25. We're going to be doing all interviews through Skype. So make sure that your job, or when you're ready to do your interview, you're able to do it in an ability of high bandwidth, so you can be able to visually be seen as well as talk. Okay, so if you have to do it at Mohawk, I don't care, but you're going to be more or less interviewed by one of three people. There's myself, my account manager, and my production manager. You will probably be assigned to one of them. I didn't go by any specific reason or rhyme. It was just, you know what? I kind of went through alphabetical, I think, and randomly selected. So it's a sales position. You're going to be selling media, a website, and working in my marketing department. That's going to be the job position you're applying for. You're going to prepare a cover letter. You're going to create your resume using the model, whatever model you want. But again, I'm not here to rank resume other than just making sure it's accurate with spelling and otherwise. Your cover letter is what I'm going to be reviewing and paying most attention to. Prepare for your interview. Guys, practice. Sit with your friends. Have a quick interview. Pretend to have one with each other. Get yourself prepared. And what I mean by get prepared, get comfortable. Don't get nervous. Don't feel like you're try to get yourself comfortable and, you know, sit in front of a mirror, sit in front of a frame. Get yourself comfortable with that. Okay? You're going to Dropbox your assignment, which is your resume and cover letter, please. Now, grade scale handed in on time, which is, by the way, March 17th. You're definitely going to want that because you should already have it done other than the cover letter. And then, like I said, next week and for the next 2 weeks, we're going to be conducting the interviews, okay? So 10% is basically on your cover letter, and if you hand it in on time, 10% will be the presentation, okay? So out of this 20%, you've got really a great opportunity to kill this. I'm going to be grading everyone based on the fact of how they best present, okay? And also some tips and tricks. Guys, research the company, okay? So what I want you guys to do is to think about, it's going to be for FPM Marketing and Design, FPM 3, okay? If you want to know where that is, it's, let me just put it in here, fpm3.com, okay? That's the company. If you're ever looking for, if you're looking for information about the company or otherwise, that's going to be where you're applying for the job. It's my ad agency in the Hamilton area. What time on that day is it due? End of day, Sydney. It's going to be due at the end of the day on the 17th, okay? So this is the quick job description. It's not really that detailed. It gives you a quick overview. Again, I don't expect you guys to understand media buying knowledge of PMB and BBM and airware. It's okay. It's all right. You're going to see that on a lot of job descriptions. Do not ever let that deter you from applying for the job, okay? So Basically, what you guys are going to be doing is you're going to be sitting in an interview with myself or my account manager or my project coordinator. In that job interview, you guys will be more or less critiqued on how you present yourself. We're going to ask questions. You're going to answer. You want to be successful, you want to do well, you're going to ask questions as well. But ask informative questions about the job. So what you want to do is you want to find out specifically why would you want to work at this agency? What is it that makes you interested to want to work there? So those that really do well here, I give you an example. Ask intelligent questions. Find out exactly, first of all, it's your presentation. Number one. Number two, you want to ask the questions. And then what's going to happen at the end of the interview, they're going to be no more than 15 minutes. It's more of a screening interview. So the first minute and a half is introductions. The next will be probably about 5 to 8 minutes of questions on our end, and there'll be 2 minutes of questions from your end. The balance of the time will be critique. We will give you quick little feedback based on our interview experience or our interview considerations, okay? Those that get 100% would be my staff or myself saying we would give you a second interview. If you can be able to close another opportunity to get another interview, you're going to get 100%, okay? So it's really all about how you best present yourself, how you ask questions about the job, how you're going to be able to want this position specifically. Again, I had sent out a list. You all got emails with dates and times of the interviews. Again, they will be Skype interviews. Okay, there's a link that was shared with you on that time and date. You click the link, you will be able to connect. Make sure you have Skype downloaded on the computer. Otherwise, it will take time to need to download and operate, but you will need to use Skype as your interview process. And just click the link and it will open up and you'll be joined into a chat room with the individual that you've been assigned to. If you didn't get this email or you're not sure the time of your interview, please let me know. If you can't make the interview date or time, I'm going to let you know there are some spare dates. You'll notice in the email I gave everyone that there is a little block of time below. Couple people have already advised me they're not available on the times that I've assigned. So if you do not or you cannot make the time I gave you, you need to let me know in advance. And what I mean by advance is by the 17th. So go through those and let me know. I'll send an email again to remind everybody by the 17th. I expect everyone to give me a quick overview of if they need to move their date or time of the interview itself. Okay? All right. I think that pretty much covers it all. I mean, obviously we're, kind of getting through this in a winter storm. So are there any questions that you guys may have or you want to ask me? Okay. All right. Let's see here. Should we put your name on our cover letter and resume, or should we put the name of our interviewer? Good question, Ben. You know what? I'm okay if you use my name, but if you do know the person that I've given you, so for example, if you've been assigned to Chanel or to Peter, then you can use their name specifically. So yes, you can use either name, any one of the three. Just make sure you spell it correctly when you address it to either Peter, Chanel, or myself. If there's any other questions, guys, you're welcome to ask. Anything about the interview process? I could be Jeff. I've got a few meetings and I can maybe be available this afternoon. I'll send you a quick email and a phone number and I can follow up with you. When do we need to submit the cover letter resume? On March 17th. You want to submit it by March 17th, end of day. Okay, so and I'll give it to the end of midnight on the 17th, which gives you guys 5 days. Okay. So again, March 17th, end of day. I think that answers Sydney's question as well. If there's any other questions, guys, you're welcome to ask. I'm happy to answer. Or anything about getting a job, focusing on the assignment. By the way, in the next 2 weeks, I will also be giving you guys a quick summary. I will be pairing you with the final presentation. Tell me where I can find the interview dates again. I emailed them to you. So Agnes, let me just see here. Hold on. Where is? You should have got an email from me with all the dates and times. And I believe I sent it to everyone. I missed a part about the Skype interview. You'll be sending us a link. Or do we need to add the interviewer? You would have, Jeff Biden, you would have got an email from me about the Skype interview. The link is in the email. There would be, if you get the email from me, it actually says radio sales interview. You do not have to add the interviewer. The link itself is a joint interview. So when you click it, they'll already be online and you'll be able to connect to that Skype presentation. So there's nothing to sign in or add or otherwise. It's an open interview. Or interview date. So let me just go through the list here again. Agnes, let me just take a look here. I'm gonna do a quick little search here. Yeah, if you still don't find it, guys, and you're not sure what the interview times are, please email me. I will find it and forward it to you. It's important, obviously. And yes, you're right. It's only 3 days until the cover letter needs to be submitted. But if you were to get a job, that's more than enough time to be able to submit the opportunity. They don't usually give you 3 months. So let's see here. No, thank you. Okay, so let's see. If we have any questions, we can email. Yes, you can, Shana, no problem. I can just use my resume that I already have. Yes, you can. That's fine. If your resume's, if you feel it's adequate for a sales presentation, that's fine. Let's see here. Mine popped up in my promotions folder. So check your spam, guys. I try to email it through through the Mohawk eLearn, so I trust that works. Will you send another link because I had to change my date? Or do I use the original link you sent in the email? Taylor, I think the answer to your question is, will you send another link because I had to change? I think, did you email me directly, Taylor, with regards to the date of your interview? Because if you did, I think I might have responded to you. If you didn't, find the email I sent you with your original dates and some of the other option dates. If you can double check that, please. If you guys, check your spam if you could. I try to send it. Then Taylor, if you did send me the email, I believe I did respond with a revised date and time. Angus, you asked the question when your interview was. You are the March 28th at 9 a.m. You would have got an email for that date. So if you wanna double check that email, I believe it was in your general. Check your spam, and you should be able to see it was in there. And Taylor, let me just check and see if you. Yeah. Yes, I did reschedule you, Taylor. You were March 23rd, 9 a.m. I got you set for there, okay? Check to see if you have the link, but I'm pretty sure I gave you the link in the email I gave you, okay? Yes, Amanda, check your spam. I believe I did a group based on a large, maybe they put that in your cluster or something like that. So, let's see here. Okay. Let's see what I can do. What I can do, guys, is I will. Let's see here, check your spam again, and I'm going to go through and Let me create a document here with all of the actual dates. New Google Sheets. And I'll make it available for everybody here. So give me a few moments. He sent all links out yesterday morning, so double check. Yes, I did. I sent it out. You guys should have all had it. Master. I'm going to make a master list, guys. However, I'm not going to put the links in there. Well, I guess I could. So hang on. Let me put the links of the. Just make sure you get the proper link, because there's nothing worse than joining an interview and you're in the wrong link. So let me do this here. I'm going to do a quick little summary, and I'll create a shared document for everybody so you know the interview times on Skype. Shayna, class is done unless you have any other questions. I'm going to share a link with everybody here in a moment, just with all of the interview dates and times that have been confirmed. You're welcome to hang tight for a quick second while I throw this on the chat, and I will send an email later. So class confirmed interview times. 2017. All right, let's do this. Share, and I will give this link to everybody in a moment. And also, just as a side note, guys, I will keep this video online. I will keep it on our eLearn for the balance of the week in case you need to go back and take a quick look again on anything you maybe want to reference. I just want to reiterate a few points. Number one, I want it to be clear. The presentation, I'm going to be assigning you guys to groups. In that group, you guys are going to be assigned to. I'm going to basically, if that person doesn't show up, or they don't work with you or otherwise, you're still required to show up on presentation day and do your presentation. So just to keep that in mind, okay? No, the job description is on eLearn, Sydney. So that job description for what you saw in the presentation, if you go to eLearn, you can download the presentation right from eLearn. Thank you. That's a very good point. So make sure you do that. If you go to eLearn, you'll be able to get the job description. It is not on FPM3's website. It is on eLearn. I'll send out another email so everyone is aware of that. Okay. All right. Well, this is these are good questions. Let me go into my Mohawk here. Class list, confirmed class list times. Get the link, copy, paste, and I will share it with everybody as we speak. Okay. Share, copy, and let me share it here, and I will send an email out for everybody. Okay. Copy. Done. All right. All right. Are you mixing first and second years for the groups? Honestly, Jeff, I probably will. And the only reason for that is, unfortunately, I don't know who is first and second year. No one's actually given me any. I really don't know how to identify who is first or second year. So in that list I just shared on there, that is literally everybody's confirmed dates and times. You'll see there are some spare dates and times in there. I will send that link as well through eLearn to everyone, so they can have a list of where to go for that. Okay. Again, everything's on eLearn for the assignment. Please go there to get the job description. That will give you a quick overview. And I believe if you guys are still having issues, please email me. I'll try to get to all of them and be able to answer your questions. Okay. As far as answering some challenges. Okay, so with that, I'm going to hang on the line for a few minutes. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to ask. I will do my best to answer any questions about the interview and about the assignment in the final groups. The answer, again, I'm going to say, Jeff, yes, you will probably be randomly mixed with a first year if you are. I don't know whether you are or you're not, first or second year. It will be probably groups of 3. And in the presentation of groups of 3, one person could be the presenter, the audio, but it will be grouped as if you guys are making a pitch on behalf of the radio station. But I share that with you because you can be somewhat prepared as to how you want to be able to work with the individual. Okay. So I'll wait and stand by if there's any other questions. I'm going to hang on for about another 10 minutes if you guys want to ask me anything. Okay. Don't worry, Jeff, I will. Again, guys, I'm hanging on the line if you guys want to ask any questions. Otherwise, I'll just hang tight for a few more minutes. And I will answer any questions you want. I will send out an email shortly with regards to the summary of our an email with everyone with these confirmed dates and times, so everyone has a list. If you have an issue, make sure you let me know. Okay. Otherwise, have a good day. Try to keep warm. Good question, Sydney, but I would say yes, you're going to need that link for the day of your interview. So if you need to put it in a calendar reminder for yourself, I would suggest you do that, or keep that email for the day of your interview so you can be able to click it and reference it, okay? So yes, you will need that link. So I would recommend you maybe put it in a calendar reminder or put it in an email that you can reference, okay? I'm going to keep that list that you got that I'm going to email that Google sheet that I sent you. You should be able to copy paste that link or click it to be able to get to the interview. Okay. Yes, to answer your question, you know what? I'm going to leave that to your discretion for the 10-year history gap. And I can appreciate what you're saying is I have been working for 10 years. I would say that there's relevancy with your history. So what I would recommend is that you can say my work experience has included, and do it in a way that, you want to talk about your experience specifically, of why you would be suitable for the job based on your past work experience. So when you're putting your list of experience jobs, you can still put within the last 10 years where you've been, and then underneath or in your cover letter, better yet, in your cover letter, you would want to identify your experience based on some of your work experience that you've had and why it would be relevant. So as far as to give you some experience on that side of it, yeah, put it in the cover letter. And again, within the 10 years, you can if there's a good explanation for why, you can easily say so. I'm not sure why there's a 10-year gap. That is a long time. And they may be asking what happened between those years. If you're ready to answer it, then put it on your resume. Otherwise, just use a lot of the description in within which is most recent. When you do join the interview 20 minutes before, I would say, you know what, you can join, maybe not 20 minutes, maybe do it about 10 minutes, maybe hop on 10 minutes before the interview. I mean, 20 minutes is a little excessive for time, but you could, but I would recommend probably 10 minutes just to make sure that you can connect properly, okay? I'm going to stay on the line, guys, for another 10 minutes. If you have any questions, again, feel free to ask. Any question is good. Don't feel it's a bad question. I'd rather give you more information than none. So again, I'm going to hang on the line for a few more minutes. If you want, you can keep watching and sort of keep an eye on it. And if there's anything further, let me know. Okay. So again, I'm going to be on until about I'm going to sign off at 9:30. Jeff, the answer is correct. Yes, you can. Gray Commander, the sales position specifically you're applying for is, yes, it is specific. The job description is in eLearn that you can download, or as you saw in this presentation. Matthew, are we talking common interview attire for the? Yes, we are, Matthew. That's why I want it to be Skype visual. So if you got a shirt and tie, or even a collared shirt, I would say look somewhat professional. Megadeth shirts or I Love Satan shirts are probably not recommended for this interview. Okay. If you don't have a camera on your laptop, I would suggest that you find a computer somewhere in the lab at the school that you can connect with it. If you're going to do an interview Skype-wise, they're going to probably, and you will, that's going to be one of the common practices in the future, guys. So I would recommend that you try and find a computer somewhere in the Mohawk College that you can basically connect, okay? Or find someone that you can borrow their computer for your scheduled time and interview, okay? So yes, you do need a camera on this Skype. This is not an audio only. And Jeff, I'll undercut you by 50 cents. If you want to rent a tie, I'm going to be renting mine for $2.50 each. Okay, guys, I'm going to wrap it up and call it a day. So if there's no further questions, I appreciate you guys hopping online today. So I'm going to wrap it closely in another minute, and I'll see you guys online. So get the resume and the cover letter together. eLearn has all the information, and I'll be submitting an email with all of the interview dates and times, so everyone has an opportunity to know exactly where they are scheduled, okay? Check your email spam if you haven't got it, and if you, I lumped it with several people, so maybe take a look so you can take a reference as to what the subject of the email will be. All right, guys, with that, I will talk to you guys soon.